What is up, guys? Welcome to the Computer Information Highway. This is your Java programming tutorial number 21, and in this video we're just going to be continuing where we left off in our grade point average calculator. And in order for us to continue from where we're at, we have stored the variable grades, and we want to now we want to calculate our grade point average. So we're probably going to be creating a new function, and I'm actually going to clean this up just a little bit before we get started with programming anymore, and that is just so that this can look a little bit nicer, and you'll see. So I'm going to take this line, and this line. I'm actually going to take all of that out, and I'm going to put it in here. Yeah, and then we can take out all of these requirements right here, or all these arguments right here, which means we can take them out here as well. And then, rather than num classes, we're going to be using class count, and this is going to be in, not input. Alright, and this is just going to get our classes, and oh, I can't forget about this. One of you guys, here we go, in.close, here you go, that's for you, whoever was going to say something about that. So, let's see what this is saying. Convert to try with resources. I'm okay right now. I'm going to teach you try and catch and all of that later. So we're not going to mess with that. So now we have this all stored, and now we want to use it. Well, how can we use something that we created inside here? I told you in another video that we could have a function that returns something other than a void, like int, char, string, etc. So that doesn't just include that one variable. You could return an array. So we can return this needs to be a character array. So we can return that character array, and then at the bottom we would need to return this array. Since it's asking for an entire array to return, we want to return the entire array itself rather than like an index of an array, if that makes sense. So now get classes is here, and it's being returned this character, but we're not doing anything with it. So from here, we are, oh, that was fine actually. Wow, look at me. Alright, we're going to create a new function. Public static, let's see. What do we want this function to do first? Well, we want this function to compute and output the GPA. So void calc GPA, which is grade point average. And we want to take in a character array we want to take in a character array, and let's call it, I guess we can just call it our grades. Alright, so now we have this new function called calcGPA that is going to take in a character array as one of our arguments so that we can do stuff with it. This is where we start doing the calculations. So you guys know you guys have been taught how we store a variable in here, but how can we retrieve that variable? And I kind of showed you before whenever I made a character variable, and then I just set it equal to like grades of 1, and we can do the same thing here. So let's create a for loop. So we can go for int x equals 0, x is less than. So arrays have extra functions that you can use to them. In this situation, we can do grades dot length, and this is going to tell us how big our array is, or how many values are in here. And then we want to increment that. So this is now going to go through all of our characters in here. So we need to do something with grades. We need to do something with the variable, or the values of grades. If you guys remember how the average formula, it is the sum of all of the values divided by, it's the sum of all the values divided by the number of variables you're including. So it would be like it would be 1 plus 2 plus 3 divided by 3. That's just a quick example. That's just how our average formula works. However, we don't have numbers. We have characters here. So how can we convert these numbers to characters? Well, we're going to be doing something called a switch. So a switch is something that I haven't taught you guys yet, and what a switch is going to allow you to do is go through different instances of, or it's very, very similar to an if statement. And I'll actually show you right now. So we want to switch grades of x. Alright, so this is the basic statement for switch. We use switch, the variable that we're going to be checking between, and brackets. So if we're going through each of these, we want different letters to represent different numbers. So let's just, alright, so we're going to need the total. I kind of got ahead of myself there. So we're going to need a total, and we're going to set it equal to 0. And we already know how many indexes there are because we have the grades.length. So if we use this switch statement, we can do case, and case just means in the situation that something comes up, and we put what that something is right next to it. So we want A. That's what we do. So if we're going to be checking to see if the variable is A, we're going to be performing a set of instructions down below it. And then, so we want A to be a 4, right? Actually, we should be making this a double. Just in case, you know? So we want case A to be a 4. So we want to do total plus equals 4. And then we have to break, because if we don't break, it's gonna try to check every other case and attempt to run them, and we do not want that. So for case B, and actually, it might just be easier to copy all of this right here. Copy, paste, we're gonna switch this to B. Case A, we're going to switch this to C. Case D. And case F. We got A, B, C, D, F, 4. 3, 2, 1, 0. Alright, and then, yeah. So, you might be asking, what happens if none of these are what they put in? We can have a default case. So we have default, and it's just, oops, wow, my bad guys. So we have default, and we don't really want it to do anything. Yeah. So this is just the case that's like an else statement. Like if everything else fails and it goes through, it's just not going to do anything. Break just means that it's not going to execute anything else in here. So now all of these are going to add to the total. It's going to go through here. It's going to go through every value. If x is A, it's going to be a 4. If x is B, it's going to be a 3. If x is C, it's going to be a 2. If x is D, it's going to be a 1. And if x is F, it's going to be a 0. And if x isn't any of those, it's just not going to do anything, which is kind of going to be the same as adding 0 to it. F and default will kind of just do the same thing. So yeah, that's how we're going to get the total of our formula, because our formula, if you remember, our formula is total over total number, which is just like the sum of all values, sum of all divided by the total number of values. That's all what this is doing. So I actually have to end this video here because we are out of time. In the next video, we're going to maybe be finishing this up. Yeah, we might be finishing this up. So I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.